You're live. You're live.
It is Friday, the 20th, and we are here with environmental planning and sustainability's budget. And this is Senate Transportation. And if you would introduce yourself, we would, for all ears.
Okay, great, thanks. Andrea Wright, Environmental Policy and Sustainability Manager. Guess I'm solo. Sometimes Patrick brings me back. Oh, yeah, I'm good there, yeah. Yeah, so before I get into the budget and the numbers, I just wanted to sort of ground you all again in the purpose of the Environmental Policy and Sustainability Program. We really support the agency in all aspects of environment. We have had a focus in the last few years on climate as the agency looks to implement the IIJA funding, the related programs, the carbon reduction program, the Resilience Protect program, the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program. And we look to meet the requirements of the Global Warming Solutions Act and the climate action plan that goes along with that, the comprehensive energy plan, and then the resilience plans, such as the state hazard mitigation plan. We contribute to that as well, and the statewide resilience implementation strategy. So basically in all these different areas of environment, we're really looking to understand the regulatory environment and the needs of the agency, and then create initiatives around those. Those initiatives are then codified sometimes in policy, and then we look for what the funding needs are and availability of funding for those different types of programs. So I also just wanted to provide a little overview of what we've been up to in the last year. So over 2025, definitely an interesting and sort of tumultuous year. Lots of ups and downs, and weaving and being flexible within the environmental programs, just from what's happening at the federal level. Despite having all these funds, there's a lot of different things going on. Certainly in the NEVI program, that was a very active program in 2025, but we did follow through with contracting an additional 8 locations.
Were those the same contracts you had? Did you just
We had made awards. We hadn't moved to contracts on all of those, but yes, so we've only had the one solicitation.
like go out to bid again?
No, we did have some contractors back out because of some of the changes, and so right now we're just working with 2 different vendors.
Couple of questions on it.
Yep.
So, yeah, I thought those contracts were actually really good, and how they require over a 10-year period.
5-year.
Oh, I thought it was 10, just 5.
5-year. Yeah, it's the DBOOM, the design, build, own, operate, maintain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So just regarding the system totally with like the public and the private, do you have a sense of how far along we are? Because I think we're doing really well, and in terms of not needing a lot more. Like for example, we're definitely more than half. I'm pretty sure
More than half to our current needs.
half of what we need. Yeah, because it isn't exactly like gas stations, because a fair amount of people charge at home. So do we know what the demand is?
I can't name the number right now. We did provide the NEVI report, the annual report that was required, and we submitted that on January 15th. I can't remember the number right now.
Right.
We're happy to come back and
Well,
usually give a presentation on that.
right. So we know what the state's goals are,
Yes.
but in the meantime, there's a lot of other chargers, public chargers that are what I would call good public chargers, because you can use a credit card and you don't have to have an account. I mean, that's to me, that's a threshold, and they're not always broken. But I think I don't want to spend state money if we don't need to.
We have not met the state goals of having one every 3 miles and 25 miles. We will, I can't speak right now on how close we are to meeting that once we completely get all of our NEVI funds out. I have to come back
So
that, but
so when you look at how far you are along, do you include the private?
yes, when we're looking at our total,
Private or publicly available.
yes.
Okay, so that is counted.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes,
good.
not only publicly funded.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes. But yeah, like I said, happy to come back and give a presentation or even just follow up, sort of pulling out some of those
Yeah.
points from the report, if you'd like. You've heard quite a bit, I think, already, about EMBA from Patrick and other states. I know you've been taking some testimony on that. So, but just to include that here because, the match for the federal grant was carried in the EPS budget. Working on allocating and obligating the carbon reduction program funds. So we were able to allocate another 8 million. We're obligated 12 million thus far in that program. We'll go into detail about that a little bit on another slide.
Doesn't it say 27 million? Your slide just said 12 million.
We have allocated 27 million, but we have not gotten the
Obligated,
obligation
well.
point. Yeah.
And then the remaining 5 to get to the 32, where is that still available?
It's still available.
You
Yeah.
have to,
We have to figure out where we want to put that.
okay.
Yeah.
And you have a deadline?
29. So we're in good shape. There's like a 3-year period after each apportionment for each federal year apportionment, and we're good. We're not in danger of lapsing as long as we keep moving. In the resilient space, we contracted for the design of 2 hazard mitigation grant award projects. One is sort of a nature-based solutions, an engineered log jam in Jericho along Route 117, and then we're doing some work for erosion in the Notch on 108. We've also used some innovation funds to develop a nature-based solutions framework for the agency to look where we can incorporate nature-based solutions more readily and easily and make good choices about where those types of systems would be put into our projects.
And just a question on that. So can you do floodplains if it's relative to stormwater off of the road?
We can, it would, depending on the protect funds definitely allow for that. And then it would be a matter of, without the protect funds, just sort of in scoping what we determine is the best use, and the nature-based solutions does sort of broaden that out to outside the right of way if need be.
Wow.
But, we'd have to go project by project to figure that out. And of course, getting rights to right of way is always a challenge, but it's what's being considered in nature-based solutions. Not exclusively to go outside of the right of way with nature-based solutions, but it is an option for.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah, Federal Highway has some guidance out on that as well, and other states are definitely starting to look more at that too. And then, of course, the incentive programs, which you all are familiar with from 2020 to 2025, we had those incentive programs. We wrapped those up in 2025. So almost 7,000 incentives and $23.5 million issued through that. Of course, they were income-based, and so 67% of the incentives, 79% of the funding went to lower-income Vermonters. So getting into our state fiscal year 27 proposal, these are the numbers. Electric vehicle charging infrastructure that's the number there that we expect to deploy in state fiscal year 27. Really, that will include wrapping up some of the current projects under contract, as well as early expenditures under our next solicitation. It includes a third-party oversight and our staff time on that as well. And that's sort of where things look a little funky in the match on that. The transportation fund is showing the state match only for that staff time and the construction oversight. The match for the actual construction comes from the local vendors.
Is this all fiscal year 27?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Carbon reduction oversight is just our staff time for implementing those funds. We also are looking at implementing some of those funds towards our fleet charging infrastructure. So we have that in there. The protect oversight is staff time for program oversight again. If you remember from the protect program, 2% of that program, 2% of the funds have to go to planning. So part of that is staff time. Another part of that is projects like updating our transportation resilience planning tool, We're looking at the needs for funding some hydraulics advancements that would help municipalities in sizing structures. So those are the type of things that those planning funds can go to.
Can you talk more about the municipal stuff?
I can talk a little bit about it. Our hydraulics unit is had been working on that. We've got some change in staff there, so I haven't looped back with them to see if they're carrying that forward, but it's in concert with USGS. And it is really just sort of a software design program where a municipality or any entity could go in and see the watershed to where they're looking to replace their infrastructure. And it would do some initial sizing for that. So it's a hydraulics, it's like the H&H studies, the hydraulics and hydrology studies, sort of built into a platform where they can at least get to a point where they have a conceptual plan. So to save them some money in consultant fees and having to at least have that conceptual plan before they maybe have to go to a consultant and finalize a design.
That sounds like
permitting.
a great idea.
It should
So
be
like,
great.
so like if they're gonna replace a culvert, there's a map that they can have access to.
Yeah,
and-
I'm not sure if it's GIS based, but it is a, yes.
No, that's
It's
huge.
to help
Yeah.
self-serve. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, getting a consultant is often the biggest barrier.
Mhm.
So if their own people can go through and look at that.
Yeah, it
That's
should
really
save our own staff time because there's a lot of hydraulics requests that come in from municipalities to our hydraulics unit and then, yeah, just help
That's
the
great.
municipalities.
If you could send me a link to that at some point.
It's in development, but I will get you some more information. on
Okay,
that.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hazard mitigation, those are the projects. So I just talked about the two FEMA projects, the one in the Notch and one on 117. So those are counted for there. And then those last two line items are just sort of general planning funds from the federal highway. Things like Act 250, road ecology, contaminating soils, and those different things that come up for that. And then general sustainability planning, research, interagency coordination, and support of carbon emissions reductions and resilience. This is our changes from last year. Quite an increase related, 57% increase in the total, with the T fund down 5%. And that increase is related to the timing of the NEVI and the FEMA projects. We have over 100% increase in the federal NEVI funds from last year. And then that huge increase in the IDT, because last year for the FEMA projects, we were just looking at sort of construction management. We were just getting those projects going. We didn't even have a design consultant on board. We do now, but it's just accounting for those construction funds of those two projects. So a big jump there. Let's see, the large increase in the local match just corresponds to the NEVI funds and having more in construction, more of the local match for those projects. So it is a large increase overall and a little shocking, but really it's just that we're starting to make some progress on implementation of both of those NEVI and FEMA projects. So that is sort of the budget. And I thought if we have time, I know we're running behind, so feel free to cut me off or whatever needs to be. But I thought I'd spend a few minutes just going over the three IIJA programs. This is an overview of where we are and the apportionments that have been made in each of those programs. We do have all of those funds. And then, like I said, we have 3 years to obligate those funds from the time that they were apportioned.
FY 26 ends in September 30th.
Mhm.
There's no more money present after FY 26.
I don't think we know that yet.
Okay.
Depends on what happens with the reauthorization, and there's a continuing resolution. I don't even know. Who knows if these programs will stand.
Is there anything that your department, the agency has done to try to speed up like the NEVI, which in my view might still be at risk?
Yeah, and we'll get into that.
Okay.
And I have one slide on that.
In all of this, is this all money in hand or have they held any of it up?
None of it has been held up yet.
Okay.
But is it reimbursable?
The charging stations was not held up.
No, we're in good shape with the
It
charging.
was before, but now I've got it on now.
Oh, yeah, 2025 was held up. We did what we needed to. We rushed through, we obligated all the funds, and we are, still holding, like, fingers crossed. We're,
The funds are
in good shape.
on a reimbursed basis. You don't have it. I mean, like,
they have been apportioned to us. We have not obligated them.
it's like in your federal
Oh,
account.
yes. Yes. So the carbon reduction program. This is just showing the different types of programs and projects that we've allocated carbon reduction program funds to. Some of them are already obligated. Like I said, we have $12 million obligated, and then there's some that we have just said we want carbon reduction program funds to go to those, and we are not quite at a place in our project development where those can be obligated yet, but they're waiting for those to get to that phase. And really they just align with what we did in the carbon reduction strategy, transit and micro mobility services, a bit on fleet conversion, bike ped projects. And then we are looking to also help use some of the CRP funds. I don't know if you've heard from Ross yet in transit, but some of the CRP funds are going to supplement transit operations and services as well.
Yeah.
And then there's the traffic efficiency type of projects, the roundabouts, the signals that keep traffic flowing and help to bring down emissions. This is the Protect funding, the resilience improvement plan. So just all the different projects that the Protect funds have gone to. Protect funds could go to standalone resilience projects, or they could go to incremental costs of projects that were not for the sole purpose of resilience, but have resilience components. And so these are the projects that we've allocated those funds to. A bunch you can see have already been obligated there. Again, that resilience improvement plan, the 2% that I talked about. And then, we had some external research where we are looking at the cost efficiency or efficacy of the municipal roads general permit practices, so that municipalities can understand that if they do these things on the roads, it has a benefit for resilience. And so we're doing a little research on that. We're sort of midstream on that. And then we had some that were flexed to STBG early on, and we use those at the Richmond culvert on the interstate there, and a few other culvert projects. Of course, all of our culvert design bridges and those types of things, due to the nature of our standards, have a resilience benefit. So we are, we know where those $37 million are going for the Protect program.
Just pick a project and kind of describe how it fits in with the plan, what the resilience plan is.
Yes. Trying to remember which ones are on here, that are on the RIP. So the two Worcester projects, those, I actually spoke to about one of them when I was in here for the wildlife crossings, because of that dual benefit of resilience. When you widen for resilience, you also have a greater connectivity for ecology. So that is one of the projects. And so I'd have to have the numbers in front of me, but like a Searsburg project, we knew we were going to do that. That was on our capital program.
Yep.
And so we went through and said, if we were to replace this Searsburg project in kind, it would cost this much. And so it's not a standalone resilience project. And because we were replacing it for an asset condition. And so if we were going to replace it in kind, it would cost this much, but we are upsizing it to a different structure size. And so it costs this much, and we were able to apply those Protect funds to the incremental costs from in kind to upsizing. And that would be at, the program's pretty complicated. It would be at 80% of the incremental cost if it's not on the RIP, 90% if it is on the RIP.
And the RIP
There's a resilience improvement plan that we did to prioritize where these funds should go.
So can I, just a follow-up question? So there are situations where there's a bridge that's been there for a long time And when we want to add sidewalks, when the bridge is redone.
Yeah.
Would that be something that would be eligible for funding?
Those would not, if we were going to replace that, those components would not be eligible.
Sidewalk or bike lanes?
It's really just the upsizing of the structure and, yeah, that would be our other STBG funds that covers that part.
Oh, but there are other, okay.
Just our normal programming funds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a little slow and confused. So, for example, Elmore,
Yes,
which is the culvert 64, here it obligates $1.5 million. We're budgeting in state highway bridges $4.2 million. Is that so? Is the number that is in the state highway bridge program, is that 1.5 in that 4.2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
yeah, it's one of the funding totals
Yeah,
that
I'm
goes
just
to the total.
trying to figure out.
Yeah.
So when we look at these, we should go back to find the project in the book.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
That's helpful.
And then my last slide is just on the NEVI program. We have 2 buckets of federal funds related to EV charging infrastructure. The 21 million from the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Project from the IIJA, and then we had $2 million in ARPA funds also. And like I said, 2025 was all over the place for NEVI funding. We didn't know if we were going to be able to move forward. The federal highway did get revised guidance out and we were able to move forward. We worked really quickly to obligate those funds so that they were more secure. So we've got 28 locations that we have obligated funds for. We had that original sort of pilot program in Bradford that opened up 2024, I believe. And then we are currently deploying $8 million through awards in our first solicitation. That is for an additional 8 locations. Those should be wrapped up by the end of this calendar year. And then we are looking to go out for a second solicitation with the remaining 19 locations with the $13 million that we have left. And hopefully that will go out in spring. Probably mid to late spring, that will go out with that second solicitation. And then hopefully we'll.
That's great.
I'll get all those ones.
So are you doing some of the waste stations? Or
No,
are you? That's,
Way station?
or not the rest stations? It just seems like
Oh,
upstates.
Can't be on the rest of it.
yeah,
You can't do them?
yeah, it's,
On the interstate.
yeah,
You can't charge money.
you can't make.
Oh, interesting,
yeah,
You could do it for free.
Yeah,
interesting. That's a shame.
and there's
That's where people stop.
other locations, well, yeah, there's other criteria.
Okay.
Yeah, so parking rides are one thing, rest areas are another thing, because they do have amenities, but we want to make sure that there is like safe and accessible amenities at these charging locations. And so that's what we are working right now through Drive Electric Vermont has partnered with us in getting the word out for our second solicitation. We have found in our first round of contracts that it can be challenging to find a site host and get through the sort of contracting that has to happen with them. It's between the vendor and an agreement between the vendor and the site hosts themselves, but we are looking for interest so that we could include interested site hosts in our next solicitation and sort of trim down the time that it took for that, because like I said, that has been a
Have
hurdle.
we ever asked the congressional delegation to try to make a change so it, like the rest areas, we could do a charging station?
I am not aware if we've not
we should though, I mean, we should ask.
Yeah,
the contract, but so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it can't hurt.
Yeah, it's something like they can't sell gas, like it's, they can't sell fuel.
Can't make a profit. Can't even, like the vending machines are the only exception.
So let's sell it for our cost.
Well, we've talked about doing it free, but that was controversial.
So let's sell it to our,
I don't know if you can do it at cost.
well, why don't we look at that more? Because, I mean, there's restaurants,
Damien.
you know.
Yeah,
But
You know-
why sometimes the coffee is free because
Yeah.
they can't.
Oh, yeah, usually it's.
well, but,
Yeah.
I
but,
thought we did it
but
because we were.
they do sell sometimes art, local art and that stuff there. It's not, I,
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, the vending isn't cheap. I've been to a lot of it. I try to drive a lot, right? But, no, that's their market rate. You know, like,
Next time the vending machine have like a little charge card and there you hit P7 and the charge card comes down and you go take it to charge your.
I just,
There you go.
oh, it's- that's an idea.
I
But
just,
yeah.
you know,
Especially,
maybe we get to the end of the session, a letter from this committee just saying
Oh,
to the congressional delegation, you know, could you look at this?
right,
You know,
because we
I-
have electricity
yeah,
too.
and that may be way harder for them to do than I think, but it just,
we're gonna ask.
yeah,
We can reach out to like David Shear or who, you know, Rebecca's office. Yeah.
Right.
He now works with the church.
Oh,
Well, but he still might know.
He went,
No, yeah, please, let's
but I
do
mean,
that.
but I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they are there. There are, you know, different, requirements in the guidelines for these funds of how far it can be from the interstate. And so, we try to adhere to those. There are places for exceptions to those as well, but so it is to make things as convenient as possible. Is the goal, with the whole network across the country for sure.
and what's the, so did you talk about round two?
Round two, we hope to go out with a solicitation in this spring. This should be hopefully May. We've got some work to do to get that out, but we're hearing a little bit from different states that they're not getting quite as much interest in their second and third solicitations than as they did in their first. There's been a lot of changes at the federal level that have.
Right. Companies that are investing in this.
Yes, we are in good shape right now from the Buy America requirements, and that we have obligated all of our funds. And those, you know, if we hadn't obligated at a certain time frame coming up quite soon, they would have to fall under the Buy America requirements. So we feel good about where we are with that.
On your right hand map, you have some that are listed as round two locations. That's possible locations, because you have initial here. Do you actually?
Yeah, those are, so we have, per our plan, our state goals for 25 miles apart, we decided where those locations should be along our network. And so we have,
So there are fees for those locations,
yes,
right? Okay.
yep. And that's what, when we go out, our work with our site hosts right now through the RPCs and other entities, we're just saying like, these are the locations. Do we have any site hosts within a close proximity, at least to these locations that people are interested in hosting?
So that's, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, we can be sharing. Parking lot, you could redone it with some charging stations.
Yeah.
Without infringing on the horseshoe.
Need a restroom.
Which is where.
So then this is, so the map on the right, that is, it looks pretty solid to me. You know, in terms of a network that is functional.
Yep.
Sorry.
I'm like making sure, the map on the left is where we're at with our
Yeah.
currently contracted
Yeah,
projects. And, yes, and then we will fill in. So that's 9, and we have up to 19 locations. So we'll include the rest of those. No, we have 28 locations. Sorry, the map on the right is 28 locations. So we have 19 more that we'll include in the second solicitation. We hope to see, close to that many. We'll see what we get.
yeah, so that's, I mean, to me, we're pretty much there.
Yeah, and
Funding.
Right, but once it's just good to have a map
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
I mean, within 5 years, 10 years, we should be able to do that. right? And then we'd have maintenance and,
Yeah, and the good thing about where we're at now with those 9 locations is that we got what's called fully built out status. So it gives us a little bit more flexibility. You know, the original guidelines were that you have to have 4 ports, 150 simultaneously charging. And now that we've met the fully built out, when we go back out, we can see what the interest is from the vendors in being a little creative with that. We could have some level 2s. We could have different configurations. And so that might help with what we see for bids.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all I had. Happy to answer any other questions you might have. And certainly happy to come back and ask you hear from all the other programs. If you want to hear more about the NEVI program or how we wrapped up with the incentive programs, those 2.
And then, so
reports.
this is all in the NEVI report, right?
Mhm.
How close is it? Because I know we're trying to get the charging stations within certain miles. So if like you have Waterbury on there, how close does it have to be to where that is? Like when you're doing the RFP, does somebody have to be right by
We
exit
did,
10, you know, within a mile of
Yes.
exit 10 kind of
it's
thing?
supposed to be within a mile of the exit, and that's what we put in as a location, as a proposed location. So it can change from the exact location that we chose,
You don't get a
but it
proposal.
still should meet those
And
requirements.
what about the roads that aren't highways like Route 2? How close does it need to stay with, have you guys, but where that peak dot, you say Marshfield, I don't know if you're actually meant Marshfield, that's the closest town. But how close is that to be to that spot? Is that like an exact spot or you're like, we just want something halfway between St. J and Montpelier?
Well, we would like it to be pretty close to that. And so we're looking for site hosts within that area. And if we don't get that, or we get bids that have a different proposal, then we would look at that.
So that was just how far I could reach out to people. To those 2 ones that are in my district to try to find people that would be interested. They
Yeah,
might not know about it, they just don't think about it, but they might
Yeah.
have a good location.
yeah, certainly, you know, we have Hillary Del Rosso who is leading our program now. You know, Patrick kind of started this and Hillary has taken over and is leading the deployment and is very intimately familiar with all these maps and all the guidelines. And so if you do have time later in the session and you want to hear about the report, I'm happy to come back in.
Cause you need a site and then you also need a contractor, cause like the site host probably doesn't want to deal with building and maintaining and operating.
Right. Yes, we have a vendor and then we have a site host, usually 2 different entities.
Yeah.
And they have to get into an agreement themselves.
And is Norwich, I think, still doing their,
Norwich is one of our 2 vendors that we have right now.
I didn't know when I talked to them when there was the hold up and they're like, we don't know if we can keep the staff because
Right.
we don't know if there's gonna be any money, so
Yep.
glad to hear they were able to
Yeah, there's
hold on.
still challenges. It's a lot of upfront costs. It's a reimbursement to them. So getting the equipment and when they only have the 2 of them. So they have multiple sites and ordering that equipment and putting out millions of dollars upfront
Yeah.
is a risk to them. Especially with everything that's going on. We have tried to instill some confidence that we did a good job and we're very diligent about getting our funds obligated and we should be secure, but there is some risk involved in that. Cities.
The last question is, so of the under contract ones, you think those are gonna be the under construction, that's construction season?
Yep, and we hope to have whatever we get through the second solicitation under contract by the end of the year also, so that they can be constructed next year.
That's great.
Yes, it's nice to be making some progress.
So the green ones are going to be constructed.
Yep.
That's fair. So I just have one question in my district. So Putney is pretty close to Brattleboro. I know they have concerns about their park and ride. So I don't know if they're on the list, like if you chose that instead of town. Or let me start again. Putney seems very close to Brattleboro.
Yes,
And I'm wondering why you chose Putney as opposed to something farther north.
that would be a good question for Hillary.
Is it Hillary?
in the plan deployment, yeah, in our development of the plan.
So are you able to just connect me with her?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can answer that question for you.
Okay.
But again, and on any of the locations, happy to come back and have a more in-depth conversation on the plan development, the locations, the process.
Thank you for your work. It's great.
It's just,
you know, completion of all of this is what hoped.
well, we hope to have our second solicitation locations built by the end of 2027.
Okay.
What year is that? Yeah, 2026 now. So they'd be under contract by the end of this year and then constructed next year.
Okay.
That'd be the hope.
And those are the green ones.
Those are, all the locations that we are able, the green ones will be constructed this year.
Okay,
And
so
those
the
are the
pink
pink
ones
ones.
are
Yeah.
Yeah.
next, are 27?
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah, whatever we can get through the second solicitation. We don't know if
Okay.
we'll get 4 bids or we'll get 17 locations. We really don't know. So, it'll be an interesting spring and solicitation, and we're doing our best to pique the interest again. And it's, like I said, instill that confidence that we feel like we're in a pretty good place with our funding.
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, right on time.
Good.
Yeah. We generally run over. Dave,
Yes,
thank you for coming back.
you're very welcome. Enjoy you, unless it'll take a few minutes.
You could join us. We're reasonably behind, which
Well,
this is are we meeting our goals with trucks?
Yeah, okay, let's see.
okay, good morning. For the record, my name is Dave Thurber, the Director of the Century Garage Fleet. I'm back to hopefully answer questions and give you good information as to where we're at. Was hoping to get 1 page, but I kind of stuck to the same format. So it looked hopefully a little bit familiar.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the first slide. This is our dump trucks with plows, and we have 255 in the fleet. Currently 129 are 8 years old. There's 97 that are 8 years and over. And then I went into next year to look ahead a little bit, and we'll have 29 more trucks turning 8 years in the next 12 months. So we have 49% of our dump trucks that need to be replaced, which is 126 trucks. As I mentioned, we have 40 trucks waiting in the wings to be upfit. 3 of them actually went to the vendor this week to be upfit, and we got 3 trucks back, so that was kind of nice.
And I know the answer to this question. 8 years is the
It's
time.
typically the best time to auction something out of the fleet. It's when our cost to keep them maintained and on the road starts to increase.
So if I see this, we have, the number of trucks under 8 years is 129. The number of trucks over is, um, 97, and you've got 29 in the next 12 months. How there are how many in this budget to replace?
Have the action on the last slide.
So at the end of that, if you're gonna get to it,
Yeah, no, that's okay.
okay.
Yeah.
If we're gonna get to it, that's fine.
So after we'll be down to 86 trucks once these 40 are in service, the 40 new ones. To stick with the 8-year plan, we would need to replace 32 trucks a year. Over the last handful of years, it's been 27, 29 trucks, so we are falling a little bit behind. However, they have increased considerably in cost. And they did show on that last slide, you know, if I had all the money I needed for FY 27, it's a fair amount of money more than what I actually had for 27.
So is this saying 56% of our trucks are over 8 years?
Currently, right now it's 49%.
In the light duty pickups?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I had moved on.
I'm sorry, I'm still on the dump trucks. And then one last note here on the first slide, I talked with our salesman from our plow vendor yesterday. We have, I think, one more extension on our contract, or if it goes out for bid, will be another 6% higher on the plows and bodies for the next round of trucks. So
So, so are you saying we're gonna be at 55% or older than the 8 years? Is that what you're saying? Another 6% on top of the.
well, that's the cost.
Dollar.
Oh, okay,
The cost of-
okay,
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
go
okay.
ahead, yeah, Andy, I'm a little slow.
The fit up, how many are you expecting to be able to do a year for the fit ups? Or so, and if that's changed, like
That's
there's
changed.
a constraint, there's a bottleneck in the fitting up part.
So currently there's a bottleneck with the outfit. They have held their pricing pretty close. Each time, I mean, they've asked for modest increases, 2.5%, 4%, which we discussed. Those are purchasing, of course. But by the time we get to the next round, from 2023 to the next round, will be 6% higher.
But the 40 that you are waiting, you already have a
Yes.
price for those.
Yes.
How long does it take to get those 40 fit up?
They have told us that they hope to have them done by, I think it was November of this fall.
November 26th.
And you ordered them when?
Some of the chassis we have had for approximately a year.
So what,
Oh, God.
that is a very long time.
Right, is it just because there's only one company?
Yeah.
That hasn't been always the case, like if there's been a constriction and competition in
We-
that market.
We did have Penco, who still exists, but they were purchased by HP Fairfield, and now they're in New Hampshire. And they did bid last time, but they did not complete their paperwork, so their bid was not accepted. So I don't remember how they compared.
Just from a rough, so what you're telling me is if I'm gonna get an order in, the process better start 2 years ahead.
About that. So I know we have chassis we have paid for that are sitting in our yard
Right.
waiting.
For them to say,
But-
okay, send it over.
I would rather have it that way than to have the outfitter waiting for our chassis.
Yeah,
So
but waiting a year, and I think this is the problem with towns too, because they're all getting their trucks,
Yeah.
waiting to get it over.
and our Viking does bids for Connecticut and New York Thruway in the state of New York. And, you know, they're buying 100 trucks or more at a time versus our
Agreed.
But just a quick, just to, on this, on the delay stuff. So if a truck hasn't been used for a year.
Correct.
Could we call it? You know, could we say that the year that it starts being used is when we start calculating its life?
Yes.
Okay,
So we, in our financial system, we'll put that truck in service and start that depreciation when it actually leaves our yard. It goes out to be in service. And with our chassis vendors, the truck vendors, we tell them when that happens and our warranty actually starts on that day as well. So we don't lose the warranty with the truck. Just,
good.
I mean, it's not being used. So they, I guess that's one of their way they choose to do business. They'll just let us.
As long as it's not in the rain or,
Well, no, it's
It is in
outside.
the rain.
It's not being used. So
yeah,
the warranty will start when we tell them that we put it in service,
well, that's good.
which is
So if I was gonna play catch up, I, should, when a truck gets 6 years old, I should be thinking about starting the ordering process to make sure that,
we typically do look at it in year 7 or 8. Maybe we need to change that a little bit to account for the delay. I'm not sure how long that delay is going to stay. It used to be quite good. We get them within a year. I know Viking has taken on a lot of work, so that's part of the issue, and I don't know what their outlook is going to be years out. But we are still trying to order truck chassis every year so that we have them available when they tell us that they can do the work.
that,
It's just,
take that in.
no, I'm just wondering if there's nobody locally, like, is this beyond the scope of folks like Iroquois? They can't handle enough like that?
I would say yes. I mean, they're pretty busy with the smaller trucks that they do. I don't know that,
Have we asked them?
Yeah, kind of
have it.
wonder if,
Yes.
I wonder if the agency has looked at, what kind of development they could do of that market, like going to a smaller operator and say like, have you thought about expanding? We could, and maybe there's something the agency could do to help them out. Make that investment so we're not waiting 2 years to get a truck for them, which I think would also be benefited to all the towns. They're also trying to help their fire trucks and their dump trucks.
Yeah. Certainly good thoughts, and I believe Travel Boys Truck Center up in Holchester does some upfitting bodies for dump trucks, but they don't believe they do the plow equipment, so.
Maybe they're willing to
Maybe they-
figure it out. And there might be something in the bid specs that make it hard for a small operator, like, I don't know what that might be, but just like, oh, we'll have a special bid just for small operators to try to bring more people online. It would be good to think about it.
Yeah, especially Vermont businesses too.
Yeah.
'Cause we have big trucking folks in my area.
We do use Iroquois for some of our smaller stuff. We buy aluminum flatbeds that we put on our pickups and things like that, so. Could certainly give them a phone call and see if it's something that they could take on.
They might say no, that's all,
Right?
Or find out why they don't bid,
So I did kind of focus on the dump trucks and
Yep.
our pickups and the wheel loaders, because we're a large portion of the expenses from the fleet. The heavy equipment, the wheel loaders. We typically, say have a 15-year life. We do have plenty that are over 15, but
So 15 years is for,
replacement, that's what we consider
on
the,
the light duty trucks?
no, the wheel loaders.
Oh, wheel loaders.
Yeah.
And light duty trucks is what year?
5 years,
5 years.
which I'm thinking currently might be a year short. We probably should look at 6 years because we seem to be keeping them for 6 years anyway, so. Like to explore changing that so that, maybe we don't get behind quite so bad in those.
Go ahead.
So you want, your goal is every 5 years on a plow truck, a light duty plow truck, which makes sense, knowing what the beating they take. Well, we have 12 that are over. No,
That'll be. in the
oh, we have
next-
12, 35 with 12. So okay. I misread that. Okay.
We have 11 coming on.
Yes, there's 11.
And do you have any trucks that are like 8 years? Or is it when they're over 5 years, you usually one's a year or 2 year?
I didn't look to see how many years over 5, but it's. I would say there are at least 6 of those 36 trucks. They're at least 6 years old or older. And they're not quite as bad to keep longer because they're not quite as expensive to maintain. You know, if we had lose a transmission or something, that's a little pricey, but. You know, brakes and things like that are quicker to do and a little less expensive than trying to rebuild a dump truck in 8, 9, 10 years, so.
And how much of the maintenance are you doing in Central Drive and how much do you?
As far as the maintenance goes, we try to do all of that. All of our equipment, if it's warranty, sometimes we'll send it out if we're busy. We have done some of the other more maintenance stuff out. 2 years ago, we were sending out some of our dump trucks in Chittenden County because we were short-staffed and.
And you do repairs too? Like if you do blow a transmission, you have the mechanic to do that work.
Yes. When we send our dump trucks out for our PM work, it costs a lot of money and it wasn't the same as what we do, so the trucks had a little more issues, so we've pulled back from that. It's taking us a little longer. We have a goal of April to October to get all our PM work done on the heavy trucks. We go over that. It's not a hard set time frame. Try to get as much of that done in the summer so they're ready for hopefully the winter.
Okay.
But sometimes we get into the winter months a little bit still. So.
Go ahead, John.
Did you, when, you're buying mostly internationals, right?
Yes.
And they have heavy duty trucks. When, Allegiance, was it, bought up most of the local dealers, did you lose a little bit of bargaining, power?
We did. Yeah.
So you're paying more.
And
Just think about that.
we kind of lost the ability to shop for parts afterwards as well.
Really?
So I believe they own all of the international dealerships in New England.
I think they do.
Wow. All right, I mean,
I mean, I'm kind of an international guy, but it might. I mean, if it was me, I'd just take a look at like Charlevoix, where they sell Volvo or something, or
They sell Freightliner and West.
Freightliner, and see, you know, maybe they'd be willing to bargain if they got the bid, the
Well, they do have some freight.
bid on the outfitting. You do have some freight.
Yes. I would have to talk to them about plow gear. I
Yeah,
do know
outfitting.
they do
You
body,
got a big place there.
they do dump truck bodies, but I don't know if they do any of the plow thing. So,
Knowing the owners of that outfit, they might be willing to get themselves into anything.
and we are able to buy parts for our internationals from them.
So,
Because, you know, an international for the most, and Freightliner, they're all whatever make they are, kind of in the cab only. Because we buy inspect different axles, different rear ends, different engines, different transmissions. Some have their own engine transmission combination, but we have Cummins engines in our internationals, and we can buy Cummins parts from Freightliner dealer, because they also use Cummins. So there's a little bit of, we can shop around a little bit, but if we wanted to stay with international, it's just all allegiance.
Yeah.
Our heavy equipment, as far as the unit itself, it's pretty heavy duty, so if it's more than 15 years old, it certainly doesn't hurt it that much. I mean, we have some rust on the sheet metal, but because it's then the wheel loader is heavy duty metal and thick steel, so it's
What's the time there if you put in an order? How long before we can get something running?
the last loaders we ordered, it was about 6 months, maybe 9. I think it was 6 to begin with, and then they called us and said, I was going to make it 1 month.
So it's within a year. Okay,
Pickups have gotten, light duty pickups have gotten much better. They're 6 months from time of order.
and they're within a year.
So that's come back from
Yeah.
the COVID
That's
slowdown for sure. So here's my plan. I've used 2027 budget.
Yep.
Because that's real numbers. I'm not sure what 28 is going to look like exactly yet. So on the left is my current plan.
Yep.
And that, we have, so we buy the chassis 1 year.
Yep.
And upfit them the next. So we have 15 on order now for 26. So there's the 15 at the top. And then we have 27 chassis that will be our outfits that we'll be paying for from this year, FY 26, next year, and FY 27. We buy BMV vehicles, we're getting 6 for them. That takes care of their fleet every 5 years. They're buying 20 light duty pickups, 3 of the medium duties. Have 1 trailer that's needed, and I'm going to try to get 1 more loader this year. Fiscal year 27. And we'll have just a little bit left over at the end, potentially. Typically, what I do with this, because it's just a plan, some of the 15 trucks that are going to be purchased are actually single axle dump trucks, which are a little bit less expensive. But I plan with the tandem axles, which are a little more expensive. So I don't want to get caught at the end of the year, try to make everything exact, being short, have something on order that I can't pay for. So I kind of use the more expensive units to create my spending plan. That gives me a little bit, maybe at the end of the year, we need a couple equipment trailers or a few smaller things. Hopefully the plan is that there's a little bit left in case we need. So I try to over budget here with the idea that I'm not going to actually overspend the equipment fund. I wouldn't want to have to answer for that.
So the difference between the 15 and then the
So
27, the 32 is,
What are the 2 columns?
So the column on the left is my actual spending plan for this year. Column on the right is to show you,
What you need to
What-
get to go.
if we were able to buy the 32 trucks, dump trucks a year.
32 is what you need to get to the 8 years.
years. And, 30 pickups a year.
You're 5.3 million short.
Yes. This is kind of worse. I put in a couple farm tractors for mowing, the district's doing mowing, things like that. 4 motors, that's the goal. So I put the goal numbers in here to show that it would be short a considerable amount. I'm trying try to manage, within what we receive and buy a few more trucks, a few less pickups. Try not to get too far behind. But I do have to sort of move things around a little to make sure that not overspending, but still trying to get what the districts need and what we need to keep the fleet in reasonably good shape.
So we're buying 15 plow truck chassis, but we should be buying 30.
There. I remember why I was discussing with Mike, who's not here today. I was hoping he would be able to come down and I could introduce him. He's our new superintendent. I think the 15 had to do more with 40 that we already have. So by fiscal year 28, I'll be back to at least 25. I'm hoping, back up to 25. We didn't really need the full 32 for 27 because we have the 40 that are waiting. That makes sense.
So what's the, if you were in a nutshell gonna, look at all of this and tell me, where are we? What would you say to me?
Where are we? We are,
And if I was trying to explain where you are in total,
okay.
it doesn't look to me like this is any budget I'd want to cut.
Well, it certainly would be appreciated if we didn't. But, that said, I would manage it accordingly. But right now we are sort of slipping toward 10 years on the dump trucks. It does cost us a little bit more. Of course, 40 that are waiting, those 40 trucks are costing more because we're still running them. We're still fixing them. So we've slipped back on the trucks a little bit and the pickups, some. And the heavy equipment has slipped back also.
So so would it be fair to say your goal is 8, but we're really on more like a 10-year trail?
Closer to 10.
Okay.
And in part because of the increase of the buying the chassis and the outfit equipment. And it's gone quite a lot.
And it's going to go up 6% more
It'll be,
since 23.
Yeah.
And your it's like 6% we're kind of settling out is kind of what we should, but we're looking at increases each year.
no. So, trying to think, you told me. The last contract cycle. I don't think we're in, maybe it's this current contract cycle, they're increased, they asked for was 4.5%.
Okay.
The previous contract, they had asked for 2%.
Okay. That's where you get the 6.
Yeah. And when we go back out to bid after, I think we had this one last contract extension because it's typically 2 years with a 1 year and then another 1 year extension. So by the time we go back out to bid, I don't know what it will be, but I'm sure it'll be another 4 to 6% more.
Yeah. And this budget increase is how much?
The CG budget?
Yeah.
Between fiscal year 26 and 27, it looks 1.6%.
1.6. And we're gonna report it out. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
This was really helpful.
Okay.
I have a question. Is the Batway mower the one that has the side mower that can hook up?
Yes.
With
It typically has two wheels, they fold up.
highway mower?
Andy wants wants a ride.
I want that language.
He wants, he doesn't only want a ride, he wants one.
As I get close to retirement, I think about, you know, if I can have
Yeah.
a nice tractor or some more.
We might have an inside track we use one.
I gotta go to the other.
Wait till it goes to auction.
So, hopefully this is helpful.
This was really,
Yeah, well,
yeah, this really, almost exactly what we asked for. Thank you.
I know when I do it, when I make these up, of course, it's like second nature to me, and I try to make sure that I make them so they're make
We can
sense and
understand it.
understandable. Well. So,
Yeah, this was very helpful.
okay, please let me know if you have any other questions.
If we, could go offline, we'll take 5 minutes and